The Jets enter free agency with approximately $100 million of cap room and are expected to be in the mix for some of the biggest names on the market. However, that doesn't mean they won't also be on the lookout for some bargain pickups. We've identified some potential bargains they might be wise to add to their shopping list. CB, Jason Verrett Verrett is a former first-round pick who looked like he was on the way to becoming an elite player after his first 2 seasons. However, he's been plagued by injuries over the past 2 years. For 2019, Verrett might be prepared to sign a short-term, prove-it deal, perhaps with incentives. It could still be expensive but wouldn't require a long-term commitment. Furthermore, if Verrett can get healthy and play at an elite level again, it will still be a lot cheaper than other players at that level. Another low-cost option at cornerback could be Cleveland's E.J. Gaines, who has played 4 of his 5 seasons with current Jets defensive coordinator Greg Williams as his defensive coordinator or head coach. DL, Zach Kerr having already declined Mike Pennell's option, the Jets will have a need for a run stuffer on the defensive interior if veteran Steve McClendon is allowed to hit the market. Other than Foley Fatukasi, who barely played as a rookie, the Jets currently don't have anyone ideally suited to take reps at nose tackle, which may be required in some of Williams' defensive packages. Kerr is coming off a 2-year, $3 million deal with the Broncos, for whom he was a useful rotational role player, albeit not enough of an impact player to warrant starter-level money. Kerr isn't the only affordable run-stuffing option, either. Benny Logan or Al Woods could also be valuable low-cost additions, although Logan might cost a little more and Woods is 3 years older than Carr. Slot CB, Brian Body Calhoun. The Jets look set to try and replace nickelback Buster Skrine this year but may lack faith in Perry Nickerson's readiness to take over that role. Body Calhoun was effective in that role for Williams in Cleveland last year, but the Browns opted not to tender him as a restricted free agent. One thing that's appealing about Body Calhoun is that he's also capable of filling in as a deep safety. That would give the Jets some extra cover in case Marcus may miss his time through injury again. As an alternative, Brian Poole is another experienced slot corner that was not tendered as a restricted free agent. He's also an effective blitzer. Edge rusher, Shaquille Barrett is a player the Jets have reportedly shown interest in trading for previously, but the Broncos now seem prepared to let him walk because they already have Von Miller and Bradley Chubb as starters. The 26-year-old Barrett has typically been productive but has never managed to earn himself a full-time role. If the Jets miss out on the top pass rushers in the draft, Barrett could be a cheaper stopgap who might thrive in a full-time role. This would probably increase the urgency to select an edge rusher with their first pick in April's draft, though. Kerry Hyder, who was originally signed by the Jets as an undrafted free agent back in 2015 but didn't make the team, could be a low-cost reclamation project for someone this year. In his first season as an edge defender in 2016, Hyder had 8 sacks but has played just 7 games and recorded just 1 sack in the past 2 seasons as he was held back due to injuries. Ted Larson was inconsistent over the past 2 years, as he started 22 games at left guard for Adam Gase's Dolphins. However, he had a solid year for Dowell Logan's offense in Chicago in 2016, starting 8 games at right guard. The recently released 32-year-old would not be an ideal starter but could be a useful reserve, as he has starting experience at all 3 interior positions. The Dolphins also had 3 ex-Jets offensive linemen on their roster last year: Wesley Johnson, Travis Swanson and Jesse Davis, each of whom could also become available. However, Larson would seem to be a more desirable depth option than any of these players. W.R. Charles Johnson, AAAF. Thinking outside the box, Johnson has been one of the most dominant players so far in the Alliance of American Football, leading the league in pass receptions and receiving yards. Johnson almost made the Jets roster last season and seemed to have some good chemistry with Sam Darnold, so perhaps they could bring him back on a veteran's minimum deal to compete for a roster spot again. Pros and cons of Antonio Brown. 0 hours 0 minutes and 54 seconds. DNL debates the pros and cons of Antonio Brown. The group is mixed whether the wideout is worth the trouble. The Antonio Brown trade saga seems to have officially ended this time, as the Steelers and Raiders have agreed to a deal to send the star wide receiver to Oakland, Brown confirmed on his Twitter. Click below to see the tweet. Jeff Burke, the Jets are re-signing versatile offensive lineman Jonathan Harrison, per Manish Mehta of the New York Daily News. Harrison, 27, is primarily a center but can also play left guard and was used in both positions by the Jets last season. He played in all 16 games in 2018 and had 8 starts, 7 at center. The Jets began their search to bolster their secondary on Saturday by meeting with former Texans corner Kevin Johnson, per multiple reports. The 26-year-old was a former first-round pick but has been marred by injuries in his young career. He missed all of last season after sustaining 2 concussions within a month of each other, the latter coming in Week 1 against the Patriots, which led to him being shut down for the year. December 17, 2017, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, USA. Pittsburgh Steelers running back Le'Veon Bell, 26, celebrates a third-quarter touchdown against the New England Patriots at Heinz Field. Mandatory credit. Philip G. Pavley, USA Today Sports. Philip G. Pavley, BentTheJetsBlog.com. Follow on Twitter. With the start of the new league year just around the corner, Jets general manager Mike Maccagnan has said the Jets, with approximately $100 million of cap room, will be very active in free agency. Let's review some of the top free agents who could be targets. Edge rusher, Dante Fowler, Los Angeles Rams. The Jets have coveted a difference-making pass rusher for some time, although they might be tempted to wait for the draft. With several players having been tagged, the market has thinned out a bit, but Fowler is one of a few available players the Jets have been linked to. December 2, 2018, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, USA. Pittsburgh Steelers wide receiver Antonio Brown, 84, gestures at the line of scrimmage against the Los Angeles Chargers during the fourth quarter at Heinz Field. The Chargers won 33-30. Mandatory credit. Charles Leclerc, USA Today Sports. Charles Leclerc, disgruntled wide receiver Antonio Brown and the Steelers have agreed it is time to part ways, and Pittsburgh will look to deal the 6-time Pro Bowler this offseason. Here are the latest reports and updates on Brown. March 8, 5:53 p.m., Jerry Dulac of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette reports that the Steelers are close to trading Brown, though the report doesn't say which team is about to acquire him. Jason LaCanfora of CBS Sports adds that a Brown trade is expected to be done within 24 hours. New York Jets quarterback Sam Darnold runs the ball against Minnesota Vikings linebacker Anthony Barr during the third quarter at MetLife Stadium. Brad Penner, USA Today Sports. As free agency approaches, the Jets are expected to be major players with an estimated $95 million available in cap space. Among the players the Jets could target, linebacker Anthony Barr. Per Connor Hughes of The Athletic, the Jets are very, very high on Barr and could be ready to offer him the most money once the market opens. NFL Combine Stories, at Red 0 hours 0 minutes and 54 seconds. Former New York Jets special teams coach Mike Westhoff reveals how he begged the Jets to draft Ed Reed in 2002. They picked Brian Thomas. Former Jets special teams coach Mike Westhoff recalls the 2002 NFL Scouting Combine when he begged the team that they should draft Miami safety Ed Reed. Instead, the Jets chose Brian Thomas. Pros and cons of Antonio Brown. 0 hours 0 minutes and 54 seconds. DNL debates the pros and cons of Antonio Brown. The group is mixed whether the wideout is worth the trouble. Is Antonio Brown worth the headache? Should the Jets take a gamble and pony up to acquire Brown from the Steelers to get one of the best wide receivers in the NFL for franchise quarterback Sam Darnold? The Daily News Live crew weighs the pros and cons of a Brown trade in the latest installment of Sunny Skies or Stormy Weather. December 9, 2018, Orchard Park, NY, USA. New York Jets quarterback Davis Webb, 5, warms up prior to against the Buffalo Bills. The game at New Era Field. Mandatory credit, Rich Barnes. USA Today Sports. Rich Barnes. The Jets have issued tenders to all 9 of their exclusive rights free agents for the 2019 season, SNY's Ralph Vacchiano confirmed on Thursday. The list of tenders is as follows. Click below to see WHO. The Jets tendered December 30, 2018, Los Angeles, California, USA, Los Angeles Rams linebacker Dante Fowler, 56, pressures San Francisco 49ers quarterback Nick Mullins, 4, during the first half at Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum. Mandatory credit, Robert Hanashiro. USA Today Sports. Robert Hanashiro. The new league year is almost upon us, and the Jets are gearing up for what is expected to be a very busy free agency period for the organization. There are numerous holes to fix on the roster, and that includes finding more pass rushers on the defensive side of the ball. The Jets were in the middle of the pack last season with 39 team sacks, which was a three-way tie at 16th in the league. Henry Anderson, who they could bring back in free agency, and Jordan Jenkins led the team with 7 sacks, while Brandon Copeland and Leonard Williams collected 5 apiece. But being mediocre in pass rushing isn't something new defensive coordinator Greg Williams is about, so changes are sure to come to complement his aggressive play calling. Though many believed Williams coming aboard meant the Jets converting from a 3-4 base to a 4-3. However, head coach Adam Gase said the Jets will be sticking with the 3-4, which Williams has experience in as well. Alabama Crimson Tide tackle Jonah Williams blocks against Clemson Tigers defensive end Austin Bryant during the 2019 College Football Playoff Championship game at Levi's Stadium. Matthew Emmons, USA Today Sports. Bent the Jets blog.com. Follow on Twitter. Over the next month or so, we're going to be reviewing some of the top draft prospects at each position to assess some potential candidates that the Jets will show interest in. We continue today with a look at the 2019 interior offensive lineman class. Jets needs centers and guards. The Jets are probably looking for 2 new starters on the offensive line, as left guard James Carpenter is out of contract and the team already declined center Spencer Long's option. Veterans Dakota Dozier, Jonathan Harrison and Brent Cavalli, each of whom has started a few games on the inside within the past few seasons, are all also out of contract. Any of them might be resigned for depth, but is unlikely to be considered an adequate option to start. Le'Veon Bell, Charles Leclerc, USA Today Sports. Top free agent RB Le'Veon Bell and Jets' Jamal Adams are back at it on Twitter, and this time, the notion of a super team is involved. On Tuesday, a couple safeties like Giants' Landon Collins and Ravens' Eric Weddle hit the free agent market to add to the already stacked safety heap this offseason. Players like Earl Thomas and Tyrann Mathieu are also out there to pick up, and Bell tweeted at them all to see where they want to go together. Well, Adams, who has been trying to recruit Bell all offseason, didn't like seeing the running back talking to the other safeties in the league. Adams decided to remind Bell that super teams don't exist in the NFL. On the latest episode, SNY's Jonas Schwartz sits down with New York Jets GM Mike Maccagnan. As the Jets architect heads into a pivotal offseason for his regime, Maccagnan shares the story of how he got to where he is today, including the journey from an internship through the World League and CFL to the top chair for an NFL franchise. Maccagnan reveals the philosophies, sacrifices, and misconceptions that come with the job, and the challenges faced along the way. Subscribe to The Climb here. Click below to listen. March 4, 2019, Indianapolis, Indiana, USA. Louisiana State defensive back Greedy Williams, DB 34, goes through workout drills during the 2019 NFL Combine at Lucas Oil Stadium. Mandatory credit, Brian Spurlock. USA Today Sports. Brian Spurlock. Bent the Jets blog.com. Follow on Twitter. Over the next month or so, we're going to be reviewing some of the top draft prospects at each position to assess some potential candidates that the Jets will show interest in. We continue today with a look at the 2019 cornerback class. Jets needs cornerbacks. Mike Maccagnan. The Jets have only 6 picks in the upcoming NFL draft, and with so many holes on their roster they'll need to use them wisely. It's very early, but here's a look at how those 10 picks could go. first round, 3rd overall, to Nick Bosa, Ohio State. Could the Jets have a top talent surprisingly drop to them for the 4th time in the last 5 drafts? They will if QB Kyler Murray goes no. When, as so many expect, it will leave them, at worst, to get either Bosa or Kentucky LB Josh Allen. And that's assuming they don't trade down for a boatload of picks. Ohio State defensive lineman Nick Bosa goes through workout drills during the 2019 NFL Combine at Lucas Oil Stadium. Brian Spurlock, USA Today Sports. The Jets have the no. 3 pick in the draft, but one player they could target is considered co-favorites to go no. 1. Ohio State pass rusher Nick Bosa is tied with Oklahoma quarterback Kyler Murray with the best odds, 110, to go first overall to the Arizona Cardinals, according to FanDuel Sportsbook. Jets NFL Draft Stock Watch. 0 hours 0 minutes and 49 seconds. SNY draft analyst Tony Pauline discusses a couple of New York Jets draft targets who saw their stock shift at the 2019 NFL Combine. SNY's draft analyst Tony Pauline breaks down which player on the Jets' radar saw his stock rise and which one saw his stock fall following the NFL Scouting Combine in Indianapolis this weekend. The Jets are expected to be all in on pass rushers this offseason, but one potential target appears to be off the board. The Houston Texans placed the non-exclusive franchise tag on OLB Jadeveon Clowney on Monday. The team announced Clowney, 26, has until July 15 to reach terms on a long-term deal with Houston or play on a 1-year contract worth $15.43 million guaranteed. Mississippi wide receiver DK Metcalf runs the 40-yard dash during the 2019 NFL Combine at Lucas Oil Stadium. Brian Spurlock, USA Today Sports. TheJetsBlog.com. Follow on Twitter. Over the next month or so, we're going to be reviewing some of the top draft prospects at each position to assess some potential candidates that the Jets will show interest in. We continue today with a look at the 2019 wide receiver class. Jets needs wide receivers. Having signed Quincy Enunwa to an extension and Robbie Anderson to a restricted free agency tender, the Jets should have their 2 leading receivers from last year back in the fold. However, they don't currently have much beyond those 2. Sharon Peake is still under contract and Andre Roberts could be resigned, but most of their contributions in 2018 were on special teams. VACC talks Jets. 0 hours 1 minute and 10 seconds. SNY's Ralph Vacchiano shares some insights on who the Jets may be targeting in the NFL draft to improve their pass rush. Indianapolis, Mike Maccagnan and Adam Gase set the stage for an aggressive offseason for the Jets when they met the media at the NFL Scouting Combine last week, in part because they have no choice. They have a depleted roster, tons of cap room, a high draft pick, and a willingness to trade. So how will they reshape their roster? They didn't exactly lay out a blueprint. But from their press conferences and plenty of info from NFL sources, here are 10 things we learned about the Jets' plans while they were at the Combine. 1. The Jets aren't trading for Antonio Brown. Bosa talks NFL draft. 0 hours 1 minute and 22 seconds. Defensive end Nick Bosa discusses the NFL draft, where he might fit in with the Jets and his pass rushing technique. Defensive end Nick Bosa discusses the NFL draft, where he might fit in with the Jets and his pass rushing technique. January 22, 2019, Mobile, Alabama, USA. South defensive end Montez Sweat of Mississippi State, 9, battles with South offensive tackle Titus Howard of Alabama State, 58, knocking off his helmet during the South Squad 2019 Senior Bowl practice at Ladd-Peebles Stadium. Mandatory credit, John David Mercer. USA Today Sports. John David Mercer, so fast he hardly broke a sweat. One of the more eye-popping numbers from this weekend's NFL Draft Combine in Indianapolis was the 4.41 mark former Mississippi State Montez Sweat posted in the 40-yard dash Sunday. It's even more impressive when considering Sweat is a defensive lineman who stands at 6'6" and weighs 260 pounds. It's also the new fastest time on record from a defensive lineman, besting Jadeveon Clowney's time at 4.53 in 2014. November 11, 2018, Kansas City, Missouri, USA. Arizona Cardinals wide receiver J.J. Nelson, 14, is tackled by Kansas City Chiefs linebacker Dee Ford, 55, in the second half at Arrowhead Stadium. Mandatory credit, Jay Biggerstaff. USA Today Sports. Jay Biggerstaff. The Chiefs will place the franchise tag on linebacker Dee Ford and plan to have him for the 2019 season, but according to ESPN's Adam Schefter, the team will listen to trade offers as they transition to a 4-3 defense. Ford, who turns 28 this month, was tied for 8th in the NFL last season with 13 sacks, a career high. Kansas City maintains flexibility regarding what to do with Ford by tagging him, rather than letting him walk into free agency for nothing. The Jets are keeping a 3-4 defense under new defensive coordinator Greg Williams and will at least have to consider trading for Ford as they desperately need to add a pass rusher. February 23, 2019, Norman, Oklahoma, USA. Oklahoma Sooners former player Kyler Murray is recognized during a timeout in the game Texas Longhorns at Lloyd Noble Center. Mandatory credit, Rob Ferguson. USA Today Sports. Rob Ferguson, Ralph Bacchiano, Facebook, Twitter, Archive. Indianapolis. It would be a great thing for the Jets if there's even the hint of a run on quarterbacks early in the NFL draft, because it would drive up the market for anyone looking to trade for the 3rd overall pick. But you know what might be even better for the Jets? If Oklahoma Kyler Murray goes no. One that could be a dream scenario for the Jets, who might be tempted to sit right where they are. Because if that happens, and multiple NFL people told SNY on Friday that they are convinced the Arizona Cardinals want to draft Murray no. 1, it means Ohio State's Nick Bosa or Kentucky's Josh Allen would fall right into their laps. DK Metcalf may have just sprinted onto the Jets' radar. The Ole Miss wide receiver impressed at the NFL Scouting Combine on Saturday with his 40-yard dash, running at 4.33. What made the time even more impressive, though, is that Metcalf is 6'4" and 230 pounds, rare speed for someone that size. The Jets need wide receiver weapons to surround quarterback Sam Darnold, and whoever is running the team's Twitter account seems to want Metcalf, tweeting out a video of his 40. February 27, 2019, Indianapolis, Indiana, USA. New York Jets head coach Adam Gase speaks to media during the 2019 NFL Combine at Indianapolis Convention Center. Mandatory credit, Trevor Rishkovsky. USA Today Sports. Trevor Rishkovsky, Ralph Bacchiano, Facebook, Twitter, Archive. Indianapolis. The conclusion from the Jets last year seemed inescapable. They had found their franchise quarterback, but they really needed to give him some help. That's why this offseason has seemed to be about one thing: finding weapons for Sam Darnold to use. Finding playmakers who can make a difference in the offense. That seemed to be a priority for the Jets in both free agency and the draft. But new coach Adam Gase didn't sound like it was really a priority at all. August 12, 2017, East Rutherford, NJ, USA. New York Jets general manager Mike Maccagnan reacts on the field before a preseason game against the Tennessee Titans at MetLife Stadium. Mandatory credit, Brad Penner. USA Today Sports. Brad Penner, Ralph Bacchiano, Facebook, Twitter, Archive. Indianapolis. Both New York teams made it clear this week that rebuilding their offensive lines is a priority. They each need at least 2 new starters, otherwise their offenses might not be able to run. To get that help, though, they'll either have to look to an underwhelming free agent market or dig deep into the NFL draft. Because even though both teams have top 10 picks in the draft this April, the kind of help they're looking for likely won't be there. A top 10 offensive lineman? I don't know about that, said one AFC scout. If you're looking for the next Quentin Nelson, drafted 6th overall by the Colts last year, he's not there. There are good players in this draft, but not that high. One-on-one with Santonio Holmes. 0 hours 6 minutes and 33 seconds. Former New York Jets wide receiver Santonio Holmes shares why he thinks the Jets should target Antonio Brown to help out Sam Darnold. Count Santonio Holmes among those who believe the Jets should bring in Antonio Brown. With the Steelers looking to trade their disgruntled star receiver and the Jets in need of a bona fide no. 1 wideout, Holmes thinks Brown would fit well with Gang Green. Business is boomin', Holmes told SNY's Gene Coakley. You want a great receiver that's gonna give you 15 touchdowns, 1,000 yards every season, he's the guy. Regardless of what people are saying about his attitude and his demeanor, as a wide receiver, you can't do anything without touching the football. September 30, 2018, Jacksonville, Florida, USA, New York. Jets quarterback Sam Darnold, 14, throws a pass under pressure from Jacksonville Jaguars defensive end Dante Fowler, 56, and linebacker Telvin Smith, 50, during the second half at TIAA Bank Field. Mandatory credit, Reinhold Mate. USA Today Sports. Reinhold Mate. One thing is clear, the Jets must exit this offseason with a bona fide pass rusher to anchor the defensive line heading into 2019. Gang Green can address the need either through the draft in April or through free agency. And with the NFL Combine in full swing in Indianapolis, players are set to officially hit the open market on March 13 at 4 p.m. Teams can begin talking to soon-to-be free agents 2 days prior. According to ESPN's Rich Cimini, the Jets are not being shy in their interest for a player who can hound the quarterback. The team is apparently centering its search around pass rushers Ezekiel Ansah, Dante Fowler and Preston Smith.